This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNN.Live. We're at the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2019 in Las Vegas. Right with me today is Eddie Geller from Tinybeans. It's a publicly traded company on the ASX, and the symbol is TNY. Eddie, welcome to SNN.Live.
Thanks so much for having me. Obviously, great to be on the show.
You're welcome to be here. I'm glad you are. Let's start out with a short overview of the company, and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Well, Tinybeans is this really simple app that parents and families use every day to capture their memories and share it with families all over the world privately. At the moment, over 3 million users use this every day to be able to engage and use the platform.
So what's the history behind the company?
Yep. So I started with myself and 2 other founders back in Australia in 2012. We launched it to obviously get more and more users on the platform, but we always knew that we had to be in the US. So I moved over to the US in 2014, 2015, and then for us it's all about building the company out of the US today.
What is the most unique thing about Tinybeans?
Probably the number one thing that we often hear from my users, it's all about the sharing and the family aspect. So the fact that grandparents can use it, great-grandparents can use it. Actually, we have a great story. We have 97-year-old great-grandparents that use the platform through email every day. So that engagement and the fact that they know their children all via this very simple platform is really one of the things we often hear.
What is your competitive advantage?
Probably a couple of different things. First and foremost is the fact that Tinybeans is only about your children. So you're capturing all these memories and sharing them entirely for them. And the fact that the parents own all the information that they add, they get to control it, gets to see it, and will never sell that data. And the fact that it's so easy. So you don't have to get grandparents downloading the app, you don't have to get great-grandparents engaged, it's super simple to use. So because we're technology agnostic and we're all about that privacy, that's what makes the parents love it.
What's your target markets?
So for us, we're very focused on the US, given I moved here. 80% of our audience is US-based, although we have audience also in Australia, Canada, and the UK. But really, we're looking to grow beyond that. But really, over the next couple of years, the US is the biggest market for us. And our target is basically a brand new mum, ideally, that just had the baby. They're obsessed and taking hundreds of photos, and that's really the target to obviously look to use Tinybeans on that basis.
What's your business model?
Great question. So for us, it's always about trying to ensure that we have a sustainable business model from the beginning. So we make money 3 ways. One of which is printing. So obviously parents love to print stuff and obviously deliver that to all the grandparents every year. So that's pretty small. We also have a premium subscription model. So the app and the platform is free for everyone to use, but you can also upgrade to a paid premium version of the app. That's about 25% of the revenue stream. But the largest revenue stream is about 70%, that's advertising. So brands come to us and they go, hey, we want to get to parents of 3-month-olds, we want to get to grandparents having the first grandchild. And through that, we help them with content and products to obviously get them in front of those parents and family members. So 70% is really advertising led.
What's your background?
My background is an entrepreneur and a tech person. I got involved with the internet in 1994 when my friends didn't know how to spell it. I went to college and I hated it, didn't really enjoy it either, and dropped out and started my first company in 1996, and I've always built companies. My last company was a company called Unique World. We're a technology consulting company, grew it to about 100 people, then sold it to a US company actually called Jacobs Engineering, growing into Australia. I then took 6 months off, the classic now what I do, and then met Sarah Jane and Steve and the other founders, and we launched Tinybeans.
So you're a public company, so only tell me what you can. What are some growth drivers?
So the biggest growth driver for us is really an engaged user, an active user. So we work really hard to ensure that we're attracting the right people. Most acquisition, most users sign up through word of mouth. So basically a new mum hears about it, they start using the platform, and about 85% of acquisition comes through word of mouth. But for us, it's all about making sure that they're active. So the biggest growth driver is an active user. So they sign up, they're on board, but it's all about us, how do we convince them to come back every day and the day after? And for us, like the active user will drive revenue, will drive engagement, will drive referrals. So really the active user is the number one measure we drive.
Let's get your website out there for more information if you would.
Sounds good. So tinybeans.com, everything's up there. Also, you can find us in the app stores and the Play Store. Just look for Tinybeans.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Geller, Tinybeans. It's a publicly traded company on the ASX, and the symbol is TNY. This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNN.Live, coming to you from the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2019 in Las Vegas. Eddie, glad to finally meet you in person, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Quite well.
Cheers.